we have at number 12?
We have the Utah Jazz. We got the Utah Jazz at 12. 44-28 last year. They got Jordan Clarkson coming back. Woo-hoo-hoo! 4 years, $50 million for Jordan Clarkson. And they got Derek Favors back. So, again, Utah is going backwards, clearly. They are going back in time and getting a guy that played with them, 3 years ago? How long ago was Derek Favors on the Utah Jazz?
I think it was 2016, 17.
Yeah, so, again, they're rebuilding that old team. They didn't really lose anyone significant this year, so nothing too bad for them. Their starting five is the same. They got Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles. Bojan is coming back. He is healthy, so that's exciting. And Rudy Gobert at the 5, Mr. Coronavirus. So, Caleb, what do you think about this roster? What do you think about the Utah Jazz? We put them at 12 here. Why did you put them at 12? You did this.
Well, I did do this because, and this is just like my LaMarcus Aldridge take. This is going to get me laughed at by everybody. I kind of like Rudy Gobert. I think
God, I'm dead.
Come on, listen, he's a solid player. I can't help it. Gosh darn it, I'm going to like the players I like. I think he's a solid player. I think screen assists, while they are getting memed on Twitter, I think they are an important part of the game. And truthfully, Mike Conley cannot be as bad as he was at the beginning of last year. He's going to be better. Jordan Clarkson coming back for a full year. Good bench scorer. Derek Favors coming back, knows the Jazz fans, knows what they expect, which is kind of scary, to be honest with you. But I think that they could be
racist threats.
It's Jazz fans are they're out of pocket. We'll be honest, but I don't know. I don't know. I just think they're not going to be that bad next year. I know there's a lot of questions with Gobert and Mitchell. Like, do they get along? I think that might be behind them. I mean, the whole not taking coronavirus seriously and touching all the mics and then 2 days later testing positive for coronavirus. That's not a good look, but I mean, that's a pandemic phenomenon that just happened out of nowhere that like no team could really prepare for, even though Rudy Gobert should have been more mature about it. I feel like that's behind them now. I think they're ready to win. We'll see if they can. I mean, they're sailing. What is their sailing every year? Like Western Conference Finals?
No, more like Western Conference semifinals.
Yeah, that's just their ceiling, unless Mitchell can take a leap. But, I mean, their roster's good. Should be a competitive team in the West per usual. But, like we said, semifinals for their ceiling. That seems fair, right?
Yeah, that would be their ceiling. I don't agree with you at all, Rudy Gobert. I think his game is completely outdated. He's kind of like a Dell laptop.
He does get played off the court in the playoffs. I'll be honest.
I want to get to him real quick. Do you by any chance think that he's a little bit overrated?
Yes, I do. I do think this.
I feel like a lot of NBA Twitter and a lot of NBA fans overrate Donovan Mitchell's game. Very good scorer. I would say one of the top scorers in the league, if not one of the best, right? But he's not efficient. There's games where he's just really off, and his playmaking ability is so limited. Like I feel
very overrated. Very
overrated. He's a high turnover prone player. It's just, to me, I think he's a very good player, and I'm not here to say that Donovan Mitchell is not a max player, but to me, there's signs of kind of like De'Aaron, where yeah, they're worth the max, right? You got to give them the max because, one, you're Utah and Sacramento. That's besides the point. If they were in big markets, would they get the max? Let's just ask that real quick.
I don't know, man. But it's like the way the NBA's went with, like, the whole paying for potential. Like, sure, they have holes in their games, but, like, teams just love to pay for potential. And it's such a weird time in the NBA with contracts where, like, teams are just spending. And you kind of saw a little bit of that this year with, like, the holy shit, like, a pandemic just messed up our whole cash flow. And they got a little bit worried. So you saw teams spend a little bit smarter in the offseason. But it's a weird time, man. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird time. That roster is looking interesting. We'll find out what they do. Let's go to our buy or sell segment, and let's start it off with the guy who just got paid, Donovan Mitchell.
Excited and ready to go. You know, the best part about this for me is that it's life-changing, not just for me, but for my family. I'm very family oriented, to be able to say, look, you guys are good for forever, and now it's one of those things where I can just, you can exhale a little bit, but at the end of the day, winning is what got me here, and winning and work ethic and doing what we had to do on the court and being able to make that push, to get to the finals. That's the ultimate goal, max extension or not, the goal is to win a championship.
There's Donovan Mitchell right there. Caleb, I want to ask you, buy or sell, Donovan Mitchell will be the only max player on the Jazz for as long as he's there.
I'm going to buy that. Unless they draft a guy, because like I said, they're not going to sign anybody in free agency, like a big name. The Mike Conley trade, that was like their best move that they could have made. And how many players are really signing up to go play in Utah with Donovan Mitchell? You know what I mean? Like, there's not too many. Maybe Gordon Hayward would have went back, but they didn't have money for that. And it's like, is Gordon Hayward really that good? He got hurt again today. He broke his pinky. Like,
they have Joe Ingles and Boyan. I don't think they need Gordon Hayward. He's terrible.
Exactly. So, they don't really need – I would say that he's going to be the only max guy there. I'd make that argument.
I agree. I'm going by. Same reason as you. Unless they draft somebody, there's probably no chance they can get anyone to come there. It's kind of like Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee is not Utah, right? Let's just keep that in mind. And Milwaukee is still not a destination city by any means, but having a two-time MVP, a back-to-back MVP, that's the defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He can't get anyone to come there? Anyone?
The best he got was Drew Holiday.
They had to give a boatload of picks for Drew freaking Holiday, man.
He couldn't even get Bogey to go there. But did you see the report earlier that he's interested in playing alongside Bradley Beal? But, again, here's the thing. I would Beal one out of Washington right now. You know what I mean?
Think about it. Would you want to go from D.C., the capital, to freaking Milwaukee?
No, I wouldn't.
I like D.C. I go to D.C. every year. It's super nice of an area. They got great weather.
He's never invited me, by the way, and I live 6 hours away from D.C., so just so we're aware.
I invited him during the middle of a pandemic, and he didn't come.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's traveling during a pandemic. He's a convid truther.
I went to go see my good friend Abe. Abe, if you're listening, love you, brother.
Me and Abe never met yet, but maybe one day, maybe.
Well, that's true. Let's go to our second one on our buy or sell.
I mean, Boyan is he's a very good basketball player. So, he's a great three-point shooter. He can create. He can. He's just a great scorer, and especially in clutch situations too. So, of course, when you don't have that guy in a lot of close games in the playoffs, it does make a difference.
There's Rudy Gobert talking about his teammate Boyan returning this year and how he's excited to have him back. Unfortunately, I'm going to put them two against each other. Caleb, Boyan is a better asset than Rudy Gobert.
Sell. I'm selling on that. I'm selling. I like Gobert too much to buy that. His impact on the court, he's very impactful. Okay, gosh darn it. He is. Screen assists, man. They're very important. I know we make jokes about how Jazz fans say that Gobert had a triple-double tonight, 12 points, 10 boards, 11 screen assists. Not a real stat, but it's still impactful to the game. And trust me, after watching Daniel Tice somehow make an impact last year, being a very, very, very broke man's Rudy Gobert, I can only imagine what the real one's like. I'm going to say Gobert is a more important asset.
Disagree. I'm going sell, or I'm going buy. I think Boyan is much better, and I'm not talking about just scoring. I think overall game, Boyan's impact on the court is a lot more impactful. And Rudy Gobert is an overrated, overhyped player. I feel like a lot of people just look at him because he's long, because he has, an 8-foot wingspan, and because he's a good shot blocker. Doesn't mean he's a good defender, but yet we still assume that he's a good defender. He can't stay on the perimeter to stay his life, much less guard somebody on the perimeter. All right, he's not good. That's it. I'm not talking about Rudy Gobert anymore. Let's get that COVID guy out of here. Let's go to our next one.
We got our destiny in our hands, and we got all the weapons that we need to be the best team that we can be, and I believe that we have all the weapons that we need to achieve our goal, which is winning a championship. now it's on us to, come in, have a great start of the season, and just like we've done, all the time, just try to get better and get better through the year. And when it's playoff time, be ready to beat anyone that's going to be in front of us.
There's a bozo Rudy Gobert again. I'm sick and tired of hearing from him, so I'm going to pass this off to Caleb. Buy or sell, the Jazz are a championship contender in the West.
I'm selling that. Listen, we already mentioned that their ceiling's kind of semifinals. I mean, if they make the Western Conference Finals, if they make the Western Conference Finals, might as well have a parade because that's the furthest they're going to make it. Probably in the next 10 years. I'm sorry, man. The Jazz just, not happening. Amir, what do you think?
I think, yeah, the Jazz have a decent chance of making the championship. Just like you have a decent chance of dating Rihanna. They're both going to happen at some point in your life. I mean, whether it's in your dream or whether that's in reality, that could happen. But if we're talking about real life, no, there's absolutely no chance. Winning a championship for the Jazz would be something that I have never seen before. That would be the most unexpected thing possible because, first of all, that roster is not a championship roster. The only way they would get it is if someone goes there. And, again, who the hell wants to go to Utah?